Hydromar director and founder Paddy Lightfoot recognised the potential of waterjet cutting, having seen the rapid growth in the industry across America. After losing his job, he decided to move to the island and set up his own waterjet cutting business.
I'd come into contact with waterjet cutting during that time with this previous business and sat on it for about a year and then made tentative inquiries and basically realised that there was potential for that sort of business and took it from there. But that's probably about 8 years ago now.
So why the island in particular?
I talked to the Chamber of Commerce and Business Link when I visited, and they were very supportive of the idea. There was also a bit of grant funding to help us buy the equipment to set up. There's customers on the island already using waterjet cutting and profile that were buying the service from the mainland. And obviously we were expecting that we'd be able to win that business and keep it on the island. Whereas compared to where I was at the time, I was in the Midlands, there were already 2 waterjet cutters there, so I'd have immediate competition on the doorstep. So, you know, ticked all the boxes to come to the island, really.
Is most of your business currently for island customers?
No, initially it was. I would say we work for probably most of the island companies that are in manufacturing in some form or other. And as we've grown, we've taken on more and more customers on the mainland. And we also export through, as a result of some of those UK customers, to their companies in America, Denmark and Switzerland.
So what are the advantages of waterjet profiling?
Many. I mean, probably the most simple one is you can cut any material other than diamond and toughened glass, which, unlike most other cutting methods, there's a limitation on what you can cut. Whether it's thin, whether it's thick, you can stack cut thin materials together. So, you know, whereas perhaps a customer may have gone to 2, 3 different companies to get different types of material, different shapes cut, a lot of the time we find that we can actually provide the same cutting service for across all the range of materials they want, so they can reduce down to one supplier, which is the name of the game these days. People want to reduce the number of companies they're dealing with and to keep it, you know, nice and simple.
How long have you been planning your expansion?
About 2 years, and it's been a long road. The biggest problem has been finding suitable premises with enough electricity. Our new machine takes a lot of electricity when it starts up, and most business units do not have that capacity, and therefore we would have been looking at significant cost to put a new supply in. Whereas the premises we eventually moved into had all that on tap, really.
So you've been planning it for 2 years, and then suddenly we're into a recession. Did that affect your plans?
I wouldn't say it gave me sleepless nights. I would say it did give us pause to think and take stock and to double check, you know, and perhaps talk to more people in greater depth about what we plan to do to get feedback as to whether it was complete lunacy or whether there was still a good business case for doing it. Because we work across so many industries, we felt there'd be less impact of the recession. The days of mass manufacturing in the UK have gone, but we're still very much in the low volume, high value. And I think that will always be the case. There's a lot of good ideas out there, a lot of people producing very good products which are world beating, but they're not in massive numbers. And I think that will continue. And that's very much what we cater for, is the low volume, high value items rather than the thousands and thousands of pieces which is going to go out to the Far East and other places, Eastern Europe, because of the labour costs. And to be honest, turnover has actually increased over the last year, not gone down, which is testament to the fact that, you know, our plan was a good plan, if you like.
Now, central to your expansion is new machinery, isn't it, rather than lots of extra people?
Yes, I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing that provides income for the business is the machine cutting profiles. But the level of sophistication we've got on ours, it truly is one of a kind in the UK and probably also Europe at the moment. We've been fortunate in the economic times has enabled us to squeeze a bit more out of the equipment manufacturer in terms of what they've given us for the same amount of money. And we've got a lot more monitoring on there, which once we've proved it, should actually allow us to run lights out, which will give us a massive competitive advantage over our competitors in terms of, you know, what we can charge for an item. So it's much more a case of setting the machine, starting up, and leaving it to get on with its job, enabling that person to then go and work on another machine, do another process. So we're never going to employ lots and lots of people, but obviously we are actively looking at employing more people over the coming year with the anticipated increase in work. The type of people we look for are people who are computer literate, have got a degree of engineering background, so they can understand what we're trying to achieve at the end of the day. And the rest of the training is done in-house. We'd be very fortunate to find a waterjet operator on the job market. Most companies who run waterjets hang on to their employees because they're a key part of what they do. Talking about the people we have employed, they are very happy living on the island and see it as a positive, and therefore have no intention of going anywhere else. And I hope they're happy that they've got a good, dependable job with a good rate of pay.
Hydromar applied for grant funding to help buy their new equipment and had to create a detailed business plan as part of the application. Paddy told us how detailed it was.
Very detailed. A lot of information on obviously the financial side of the business, on existing customers, where we were expecting to get the additional business from. And with all grants, you operate on a bit of a knife edge where you've got to show that you're viable enough to warrant having the grant awarded, but also show that you do need that money to help you. Because if you don't need the money, they won't give you the grant. So it's a quite a fine line, and we did actually use a company to help us achieve that. I think if we tried to do it on our own, I don't think we'd have been successful. So we're one of about 16 that have been awarded this grant in Cedar area this year. So I think it's quite a feather in our cap. I think that we've been awarded that grant because it says that Cedar certainly believe in us and then believe in the direction we're going in. And to be honest, we would not be able to do what we're doing now without the grant funding. So we're potentially coming out of recession. We're very well placed with extra capacity to take on work as it picks up.
Now the banks have taken a lot of stick. Have you found them being helpful to you?
To be honest, the dealings with our local bank has been the most difficult part of the whole process. I understand because their own internal rules have tightened up. But as I say, we thought that would be the easiest because we've got a good track record with them, and as it happens, it was the most difficult bit.
So now you've got the new machine, what's the potential for the business?
I mean, the potential is to take the business from where it is at the moment at a relatively small turnover to a multi-million-pound turnover fairly quickly, and already the signs are that that's likely within the next 12 months. Certainly we didn't envisage that when we set out on this path. This has happened as a result, if you like, of us taking our step forward.
And how do you market your service to customers?
Most of our marketing is done through either the website, which is a very powerful tool for us, and then the rest of it is word of mouth. Again, it's very powerful. We pride ourselves and we do a good job that we keep our customers happy, and that they're willing to recommend us to other people. And when people have problems that we can potentially help with us, they're more than happy to recommend us.
Now you started this business, now you've expanded it. Have you got any advice for people sitting out there in the middle of a recession thinking about starting their own business?
I think if you to start your own business up, you need to be passionate about what you're doing. You need to be really enthused about it, because when the going gets tough, you need to have that behind to keep you going, and you need to make sure that it's viable. Go and talk to people and say, do you think this is actually viable? And if you get the ticks in the boxes, then go for it. Because whether we're in a recession or not, life has to go on. People still buy goods and services. If the feedback is perhaps not so good, maybe now's the time to wait and have a look later on. But if you've got a good idea, then and people think that you're not stupid, then go for it.